AI versus programming. Should you even bother learning to code in 2025? Let's find out. So the straight up answer is yes. But not really for the reasons you might think. Coding isn't going anywhere, but your approach now matters much more than ever before. You can either consider coding fun and exciting thing to do on the side or a professional thing that will decide if you actually have to learn to code or it's just a bad idea. Stick around and I will show you why exactly coding deeply matters now even more in the AI-powered world. Hi, if I haven't met before, my name is Klim and on this channel we talk about coding, economics, business and productivity. I talk about how to live on evidence-based approaches more fun, engaging and better. So the first thing that I would consider when learning to code is you should consider why you're starting to code. There are usually three types of people who are asking me or in the space who are trying to start to code. The first one is startup people who are trying to have a great idea or they have a great idea and they just need the tools and things to code the idea and to put it out there to start earning money or maybe raise VC money. Usually it ends up happening that all the VCs are asking who exactly is prototyping the idea, who is making the thing. Because if you're always hiring people to do the coding, it's not really good. You will not understand what is the best approach. You will not understand if people are lazy or scamming you in their development, and you will not see the gap in the market that most of the coding software like SaaS or even AI powered has to have. The second thing is career growth. As we know, 95% of people in the world, and especially in the United States, are working for someone. They're not a business people, they're not entrepreneurs. So career in IT and in coding in general has been a no-brainer for a couple of years. I think for 10 or 15 years, it has been the most easiest way to earn good money if you try hard and you really know what you're doing. But if you're trying to learn code right now for coding, for growing your career, you have to understand deeply where are you going, what is your interest, and when you're planning to get to work. Because you can procrastinate, think that you want to code and think that you want to get the job, but be learning to code or studying or even studying on how to learn to code for 3-5 years. That's not a joke. Some of my friends actually have been learning how to learn code for 5 years and haven't even started and haven't gotten their job. So that's super important. The third type of person who is trying to learn to code is just a person who is eager to learn something new for pure enjoyment of the moment or the things that he is interested in maybe exploring some ideas. And to tell you the truth, in most of the cases, those people are the ones who actually become the coders and are the most successful in the jobs or even in their startup. Because if you're approaching coding for pure enjoyment of things, you will actually stick around longer, you will do the things for longer periods of time, and you will enjoy yourself more, and so you will code more, get more practice, and in the end become a much better programmer. Some of the people who learn to code just for fun are one of the best programmers I have known. All of this leads us to the second part, which is starting to learning to code with AI. There is a thing called shortcut syndrome. If you're not familiar with it, usually people are considering shortcuts to be a great way to do something. And of course, usually it makes sense. But for learning, especially for coding right now, it has been so easy to use AI to code, to check your code, to improve on something. But it works great, don't get me wrong, for senior programmers or for even tech leads. But for middle programmers and junior levels, or even before that, those who are starting, learning with AI, and not I mean talking with AI, but using Copilot or debugging your code will actually result in a huge waste of your time. If you're just copying and pasting from ChatGPT anything, or you're giving up too fast, you're not learning anything. You're just a copy-paste monkey who will not get the job, who will not enjoy themselves, because instead of writing code, you're reviewing code, which most of the coders and programmers consider the worst part of the job, and you're just not having a good time. AI really is a crutch, especially in starting to code, because it's not actually enabling you to understand new concepts. It just allows you to see what works in the most basic of cases, in the most basics of actual languages, because for some languages you can't use AI, for example Zig, and you're just screwed at that point because you haven't read the documentation, you think you know everything, but if you turn off your ChatGPT or you turn off your Copilot, you're basically nowhere near the level you should be at if you spend the same amount of time. So I think the best approach is actually not use AI, understand the basic programming features that every programmer understands, learn documentation, read the documentation, and use AI for debugging like Stack Overflow, 2-3 years ago. I cannot stress enough that using AI is a boredom alert, because you will actually not enjoy yourself coding. And even those who were so eager to start, who really had a great idea, when they started coding, everyone said, okay, use ChatGPT for everything and write your basic approaches. He did that, and he actually just stopped coding altogether because he got himself trapped in this basic thing where you copying pasting the code, not understanding it, and in the end you're just burning out. So if you're, for example, using code to study and make your startup, maybe learning to code with AI is a better approach. Take a month, learn everything, and then use AI to basically boost your productivity to making your startup. If you're going to get a job and you really want to get a job, using AI is the worst thing you can do ever. Because if you don't understand concept deeply, you will not get the job. Right now, the market is really bad, and I think it's impossible to get the job if you don't understand the basic things that people ask you from the resumes, from your interviews, that what people want from you. You will not be able to understand it and answer it. So how to master coding and programming in this AI-powered world? Balance your learning. Iterate on AI days and no AI days. For example, spend 2 days working with AI, using ChatGPT, using Copilot and other tools to supercharge your productivity. Have a person like something to talking to you and debugging your code, reviewing your code, especially on the low level, can be useful. But also 3 days in a week where you don't use AI at all. The first time you do it, especially if you already started coding, you understand that you have this thing called Copilot pause, where before you write the sentence, you write first letters and you try to see, okay, what did the Copilot actually experience? What did he tell you with autocomplete? And when you have it turned off, you will realize that you don't know the syntax, you don't know the basic programming concepts, you don't understand the basics for loops even, or if statements, and the syntax you need to use. And it can seem like a small thing, but in reality, it matters a lot to spot really deep things that will require you on the job, on the startup, or even for fun. The second thing is dive deep, not wide. Try to pick one thing and specialize in it. Spend a week researching how rag bones work in C. If you're learning Zig, try to understand the basics of the basics, the types of integers, for example, there are, the types of numbers there are, how to use them, and how to iterate on lists, for example. If you're using something more advanced and more high level, something like TypeScript or Next.js, try to understand the basic things that are much lower, on a JavaScript level, on a TypeScript level, or on React level, instead of just learning the best practices without understanding why they are the best practices. And third thing, stay curious. Always stay curious. The day you stop learning something new is the day you basically stop being a good programmer. You stop being a great programmer, you stop being a good programmer, you're just not a programmer anymore. Because coding needs new things. If we were stuck 20 years ago, we would not have JavaScript, we would not have Zig, we would not have many technologies, even React, that are basically changing the industry right now, supercharging our world and making our countries grow much faster. So, to sum it up, coding, of course, 100% is worth learning in 2025. I think it's the best thing you can do for your life, for your career, for your brain. And I think that it's super stupid not to learn how to code, because it's really easy right now with super easy languages, with super easy concepts for automation, for script analyzing, and just for basic things. So learning to code is 100% worth it. If you're willing to learn how to code, make sure to subscribe and watch this video about learning to code in 2025. Is it boring or not?